Hey guys, how are we doing? It's Jasvinder, the Mindset Hacker, and back with the Mindset Hacker podcast. How's everybody? It's been a long time since we spoke, and I have been busy. I have somewhat neglected this podcast for the last several weeks. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to spin it, and I'm not going to make excuses. I have let this fall through the cracks, but time for resurrection. Better late than never. So that was them Crooked Vultures with Bandoliers, in case you didn't know. They're fantastic. So, what we got? I've been doing a whole bunch of stuff, and something that's come up that people want some guidance about and has made a big difference for me to improve in this area is, drumroll, creativity. So, I had this Facebook group, Mindset Hackers, how we were talking about how do you go about being more creative. And I'm going to kind of just skim off the top and share with you, I think, some of the most salient points, some of the things that are going to make the biggest difference, and things that are very actionable, very simple, no nonsense stuff. Don't get your chakras aligned. Don't get a past life regression. Don't start, minding your alkalinity or your spirulina intake or any of that stuff. I mean, that's great. Go do it. But you don't have to. Those are not precursors or prerequisites to anything that I'm about to talk about. This is just pure mindset, that's the whole point, right? That's the whole point. This should not depend on this whole laundry list of things before you are ready to take things to the next level. There are simpler, faster ways, and I guess those are hacks, aren't they? So, why should you be more creative? Who cares? Why does it matter? What's it going to do for you to be more creative? Well, think about creating or creation. When you talk about being creative, there's a lot of misconceptions. You think that means being an artist or a musician or a playwright or something. Being creative means you make things. It means there was a vacuum or there was something that needed improvement. So you either put something there where there was once nothing, or you took something that was there that was lacking in some way and you have improved it, which only means that there was a vacuum inside of that something that was there that you filled. You filled a hole in a process. You found a way to have a conversation. You discovered a better way to do something. It could be anything. It could be how you get to work in the morning. It could be what you do the night before to wake up in time to get to work on time. It could be anything. It could be, of course, creative pursuits in the artistic sense, like it could be making music. It could be drawing, painting, writing, whatever you want to do. What I'm doing right now is creative, for example. So creative does not necessarily mean artistic. Creative does not necessarily mean something that has never been done before. That's another thing about it. Creation and innovation are related, but they are mutually exclusive. Creativity just means that you put something where there was once nothing, or you put something better where there was once something worse, inferior, inadequate, outdated, obsolete perhaps. So just get that straight right away, because I think that will help you to see more possibilities, and that really is the first thing. The first part about being more creative is thinking in terms of possibilities. There's a guy named John C. Maxwell. He is, by rights, a real authority on leadership. And this is not a talk about leadership, but what he talks about when he talks about leadership is these 11 different forms of complementary and interlocking but fundamentally independent forms of thinking. And one of them is possibility thinking. So, two simple things you can do. Just change why to why not. Because when you think about things that you want to do, or ideas or propositions that are going to cross your table, your inhibiting negative mind is going to say, why? Well, what that's really saying is, I'm looking for reasons to not do it. There's another mentality about starting with why that's more elevated. It's looking for, what is the vision? What's the principle? What's the ideal that's animating this thing? When most of us say, why should I do this? We're really talking about, I'm already looking for an excuse not to. Well, that's no way to get things done. It's no way to have more fun. It's not any way to be creative. So just change why to why not. If you feel like you're asking yourself, why should I do this? What you really should demand from yourself is an explanation of why not to. And there could be a very valid reason why not to do it. But if you start with why should I do it, well, then you're assuming that your reasons for why not are valid. You should examine those first. You should examine your basis for hesitation. Because what you'll probably discover in a lot of cases, sometimes you don't have time. Sometimes it's not a right fit. Sometimes you're not getting a good vibe. But if those go unexamined, then you are going to be unable to separate, I would say, instinct from impulse, or intuition from impulse. And when I say impulse in that negative sense, what I mean is your fight or flight triggers, your presumptions about the future being just like the past, your compulsive associations with things, your unexamined thoughts. You don't want those running the show. When you examine your reasons for hesitating, you will discover if you have these kinds of impulsive reasons for saying no, or if your reasons for saying no are intuitive, instinctual. I would say more elevated, more conscious. Starting out with asking why not doesn't mean you just go and do everything. I wouldn't recommend that at all. I think that's a terrible idea. Do everything. There's lots of things you shouldn't do. But how do you know what it is that's stopping you? Is it your spidey sense, or is it like you're doing this scaredy cat thing? So ask why not. Interrogate your reasons. And of course, the idea is that if you have bad reasons for saying no, that probably means that you will start to overcome these kind of crappy limiting parts of yourself by confronting them, realizing these are not good reasons not to do something, and then going ahead and doing the thing. If you have good reasons not to do it, don't fucking do it, man. Easy peasy. So, step 2 of thinking in terms of possibilities, and this is super easy. Every single morning, you're going to take a sheet of paper. At the top of that piece of paper, you're going to write 2 words. What if, and then an ellipsis, which is ... What if ... Now, number that page. It's kind of fun to say ... Pick a page and just write 1 through 25. So you're going to finish that what if sentence with a question mark 25 times. What if I woke up an hour earlier? What if I could make more money? What if I could be in a committed relationship? What if I could lose the weight? What if I could spend my free time better? What if I got out of debt? What if I could finally patch things up with my father, my brother, my wife, my daughter? You name it. What if? 25 what ifs. And then look at all those and say, why not? Pretty grounded, right? Pretty easy. Pretty easy things you can do. It's going to make you think in terms of possibilities, which is step 1. Step 2 would be to assume you have an impact. Assume you have an impact. One of my greatest mistakes that I've made in my life is imagining that I have no impact, imagining that I am not heard or seen, imagining that I have no effect on the world around me. And what I found out the hard way is that is completely untrue. And usually the way we get woken up to the fact that we do impact others around us and we do impact everything in our space is when we realize that we're impacting it in a negative way. When you see that you're hurting people, or that you are allowing, or that things are damaging yourself and others because of your neglect, and that you are failing to monitor the nature of your impact and the nature of your actions, then that's pain. That's pain, and I don't believe anything changes until it has a reason to change. And there's no better reason to change than it being a source of pain. It's nice to believe and to tell ourselves that it's enough to be motivated by positivity and to go towards the light and to go towards happy vibes. That can be nice, but when you are stuck in something, I'll tell you from experience, the reality is nothing changes until you can't stay where you are anymore. It's not enough just to have a picture of where it might be nicer to be. You need both, because you can't just leave without knowing where to go. Then you won't go either. You'll just stay there, and things will continue to get worse. So assume you have an impact. Assume that your thoughts, words, and deeds are changing the world around you, are interacting in a chemical reaction kind of way with everything in your space. And the only question for you is to decide what kind of impact you want to have. You are already having one. Just look around. Just look around. Think of every single variable in your life. And you'll find that what you do and don't do is affecting the quality, the quantity, and, the overall experience of all those areas of your life. If that's abstract for you, God, I hope not. But if that's abstract for you, just think finances, relationships, health, career, leisure time, etc. And just look at how you behave. Look at how you behave and realize that plenty of the things that, I'll say it this way, everything that's in your life is going the way it's going to a remarkably large degree because of what you are doing or not doing about it. So assume you have an impact. Decide what kind of impact you want to have. Now, when you go about having the impact you want to have, if you're talking about making big things happen, which is what's interesting me more and more these days, think of people you know who need to know each other. Because, once again, what is actionable? What can you do right now? Don't wait for yourself to acquire this high level of skill. Just think about people you know who need to know each other. I do this all day long. When I send people screenshots of conversations that I'm having, half of the time, which I do a lot, half the time it's just, hey, you do this. This other guy here over there does that. I don't see any reason why you guys shouldn't know each other, talk to each other. They need what you do. Maybe you're not looking for more work, but hey, what do I know? Maybe you should talk. Try it out. It feels amazing. It feels like you are moving mountains. So the last thing is just pursue what actually already interests you. Just do it. Don't think about what you should do. You already know what to do. You already know what to do because you're already doing what interests you. You're already doing it. Look at how you spend your time when you don't have the time to spend. What are you by default gravitating towards? When you're slacking off and doing something else instead of your responsibilities, what are you doing? That's what interests you. You already know. It's just that you don't take that seriously. You don't realize that actually counts for something. So you play small in that area. Realize that, again, you have an impact, that things are possible, that there are a lot of what ifs for you to fill in, and that you're free to decide how that's going to impact things. Because you can engage in an activity in a way that drains your finances, or you can engage in an activity in a way that will, triple and quadruple your finances. It's really about deciding the nature of your impact. So do what interests you, and I'll tell you this. The path to monetizing your interests will show itself. I started doing what I'm doing now, which is all this sort of coaching and thought partnership and, making people come together and making things happen. I started doing all of that just because it interested me. I had no path to monetization that I could see. And eventually I got more visible doing what I was doing. I got on the radar of other people who were doing what I was doing at a much more advanced stage. And they believed in me, they saw potential, and they gave me ways to demonstrate that I was ready to play on a bigger level. And as the saying goes, one thing led to another. And that is exactly how it goes. I had no idea how it was going to happen when I started. I went in the direction of my interests. I would say you should do the same. You do not need, last point here, you do not need the skills to do it yourself. The idea is enough. What's stopping you, again, and I said this before and I'll say it again, what is stopping you is this idea that you're not good enough, that you're not the expert, you don't have the skills or the time or the energy or the enthusiasm even, possibly. There could be all kinds of reasons why you doubt yourself. So what you should do instead is find people who you know do have those skills, and you'll be off to the races. What do you think, guys? You like this? I like this. Anyway, thank you very much for your time, guys. And we'll be back again soon. And I'll let the crooked vultures take us out.